Throughout history, the pursuit of knowledge has pushed humanity to conduct experiments that stretch the limits of our understanding and capabilities. These quests, driven by curiosity, ambition, and the desire to innovate, have often led to breakthroughs that reshaped our world. However, not all experiments have gone according to plan. Some have taken unexpected turns, leading to outcomes that were unintended, disastrous, or at times, catastrophic. These incidents serve as stark reminders of the ethical and practical responsibilities that come with the power of scientific inquiry. From the mishandling of dangerous substances to the underestimation of environmental impacts, these historical experiments gone wrong highlight the importance of caution, foresight, and respect for the unknown in the scientific community. As we delve into 12 notable examples, we'll explore the lessons learned and the impacts. The Demon Core Experiments, 1945 to 1946. Playing with the devil's marbles, scientists at Los Alamos National Laboratory conducted a series of criticality experiments on 2 spheres of plutonium, nicknamed the Demon Core. These experiments aimed to understand the conditions under which nuclear materials would go critical. Unfortunately, due to miscalculations and lapses in safety protocols, the core went supercritical on 2 separate occasions, leading to the deaths of scientists Harry Daghlian and Louis Slotin from acute radiation syndrome. These tragic incidents underscored the lethal potential of nuclear energy when mishandled. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study, 1932 to 1972. Under the guise of receiving free health care from the United States government, 399 African American men with syphilis were deliberately left untreated for decades to study the progression of the disease. This inhumane study, which ran for 40 years in Tuskegee, Alabama, was exposed for what it was, a gross violation of ethical standards, highlighting the profound injustices in medical research on vulnerable populations. The Stanford Prison Experiment, 1971. Intended to investigate the psychological effects of perceived power, the Stanford Prison Experiment quickly spiraled out of control. Volunteers were assigned roles as either guards or prisoners in a mock prison, but the study was abruptly halted after just 6 days due to the abusive behavior of the guards and the extreme stress experienced by the prisoners. This experiment is often cited as an example of the dangerous power dynamics that can emerge in simulated environments. Project MKUltra, 1953 to 1973. In a covert operation that reads like a dark science fiction novel, the CIA launched Project MKUltra, aiming to develop mind control techniques. Unwitting subjects were subjected to psychological torture, drugs like LSD, and other extreme methods. The project's ethical violations and the lasting trauma it caused its participants highlight the dark side of government-run experiments in the Cold War era. The Challenger Space Shuttle, 1986. In a tragic miscalculation, the Challenger Space Shuttle exploded just 73 seconds after launch, killing all 7 crew members on board. The disaster was attributed to the failure of an O-ring seal in its right solid rocket booster, exacerbated by cold weather conditions. This catastrophe marked a significant setback for NASA and served as a somber reminder of the risks involved in space exploration. The thalidomide tragedy, 1950s-1960s. Marketed as a safe sedative for pregnant women to combat morning sickness, thalidomide led to the birth of thousands of children with severe deformities worldwide. The lack of rigorous clinical testing and the delay in recognizing the drug's teratogenic effects resulted in one of the most infamous pharmaceutical disasters in history. The Prout Ego Housing Experiment, 1954 to 1972. Hailed as a model for urban renewal, the Prout Ego Public Housing Complex in St. Louis, Missouri, was supposed to solve the city's post-war housing crisis. Instead, it became a symbol of failed public policy and architectural design as the complex fell into disrepair and became rife with crime, leading to its demolition less than 2 decades after its construction. The Milgram Experiment, 1961. In an attempt to understand the willingness of individuals to obey authority, psychologist Stanley Milgram found that a significant majority of participants were willing to administer what they believed were painful electric shocks to others when instructed by an authority figure. The experiment raised critical ethical questions about the limits of psychological research and the dark potential of human obedience. Love Canal environmental disaster, 1970s. In the late 1970s, the Love Canal neighborhood in Niagara Falls, New York, became the epicenter of an environmental catastrophe when it was discovered that the area had been built on top of a toxic waste dump. The resulting public health crisis, including birth defects and cancer among the residents, highlighted the consequences of inadequate waste management and environmental regulation. The Biosphere 2 experiment, 1991 to 1994. Intended as a self-sustaining ecological system to explore the possibilities of space colonization, Biosphere 2 faced numerous challenges, including oxygen shortages and ecological imbalances. The experiment, while groundbreaking, revealed the complexities and unforeseen difficulties of creating closed ecological systems. The Marsh Chapel experiment, 1962. Also known as the Good Friday experiment, this study involved giving psilocybin, a psychedelic drug, to divinity students to see if it would induce religious experiences. While some participants reported profound mystical experiences, the experiment raised ethical concerns about consent and the manipulation of spiritual experiences through drugs. The Fernald School experiments, 1946 to 1953. At the Walter E. Fernald State School in Massachusetts, mentally disabled children were fed radioactive materials without their consent in